Welcome everybody to our March business dinner. And as usual, this is a very, very informal, but very valuable and brilliant learning time. So everybody should get ready to participate as much as possible. So let's start by introducing ourselves. So let me put this on that. Okay. So the first thing is I would like you to introduce yourself in the chat. So tell us your name, the name of your company, what your business does, what problem does your business solve, and then where are you joining us from? So let's take the next 2-3 minutes to introduce ourselves and to do some networking. And then typically we encourage everybody to get to know what the people in the room do so that you can connect your businesses. Yeah, would like to see some good networking going on here. Would like to see you, getting business. Would like to see us giving each other business from here. Okay, good. Good luck from Lagos. The finance and tax professional for SMEs and startups. Yeah, looks like someone that a lot of us can use. Okay, who else is in the room? Good luck. Where are you joining us from? Oh, from Lagos. Okay, introduce yourself in the chat, everyone. Okay. Okay, Priska is from Ozubul. I believe that is in Anambra State. Alrighty. Yes, you're welcome. Good luck. Yeah, let's take 2-3 minutes to introduce ourselves and what we do, what problem your business solves for us. Okay. All right. Welcome, Daniel. Okay. So Iyabo, you're into jewelry. Okay. And what city are you joining us from, Iyabo? Okay. Love it. Okay, Iyabo is joining us from Lagos. You're very welcome. Okay, Austin is joining from Aba. You're with Lagos Bottling, Nigerian Bottling Company. Okay, it's a business developer. Okay, Luatoni. Yep, you're welcome, Tony. I know you. So you're joining from Lagos. Francis from Asaba. Hi, Dupe, good to have you here. Okay, so Dupe is HR consultant from Lagos. All right, let's take one more minute to introduce ourselves and our businesses, what we do. And those just joining us, please introduce yourself. Hi, Oluchi. Oluchi, I should know you. Okay, you're in Abuja. All right, good to have you here. Ifi, good to have you here. Okay, Daniel. Okay. Princess Momo is joining from Auchi. Very good. Okay. All right, so let's get started. And if you are just joining us, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. All right, so yeah, many of you probably already know me, and you probably have also attended one of the business summits, or you have done a program with me. So my name is Ogbo Awoke Ogbo. I'm sorry. Okay, so my name is Ogbo Awoke Ogbo. Like many of you might know, I started my career with Shell. Chevron made an offer. I couldn't refuse. I left Shell and went to Chevron. After 6 years with Chevron, I went back again to Shell before I left Shell to start what I do today. I'm certified executive coach and also PTI. And in recent times, I've worked at Stanford Seed Business Advisor. Stanford Seed is an initiative of the Stanford Graduate School of Business. I teach occasionally at Lagos Business School. I also teach at China Europe International Business School. And then because I have found that leadership and revenue, cash flow, are the two biggest challenges that businesses have, I've focused my work mostly on leadership, developing leaders, developing organizations, systems, and structures, and then helping businesses to become profitable and to have the kind of cash flow that they need to sustain the business. Because the moment you run out of cash flow, that is when your business, the moment you run out of cash, your business dies. Okay, so that's about me. So today we'll be talking about how do we develop structures that free us to step away from our business. As usual, it's something that I am working on. And then a need area I've discovered with many, many businesses, especially small and medium businesses in this part of the world. So typically when I ask people, are you able to step away from your business for 1 year and still come back and find that business thriving? So in a room of 100 entrepreneurs, I typically will find 1 or 2 people who say, yes, I can step away from my business for 1 year and then come back and find that business still doing well. So today, from our conversations today, you will also be able to analyze the gaps in your systems and structures. And then more importantly, how to create those systems and structures that will allow your business to scale. Okay. How many of us are familiar with this? Oh, somebody's asking if I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? Or whether we are having another challenge? Can you see what I'm showing you on the screen?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can see.
All right. So can you see the national grid collapse? That's the slide I'm showing right now. Can you see that? Just type in the chat.
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. That's awesome. Now, many of us are familiar with this because it happens once in a while, and then sometimes it happens a bit too often in Nigeria. And then the entire national grid, electrical system, collapses and throws the whole country into a blackout. Okay? If you have witnessed this, if you're old enough in the chat to have witnessed this, can you just type in the chat, just say yes. Just say yes. You've witnessed this national grid collapse. Okay, yes. All right, okay, awesome. Now, as a matter of fact, there's no way if you're at least 3 years old or 5 years old, you may not have witnessed that in the past 8 years. The grid collapsed 98 times under Buhari's administration, in spite of the 1.5 trillion naira that they put into it. This is at the core of what we are discussing today, because we're talking about systems and structures. And then we are seeing a national structure that collapses. And of course, we know that when it collapses, everywhere is thrown into a blackout. Now, and this has happened 98 times, even though 1.5 trillion naira has been put into this structure. Can you type in the chat anything, any insight? What do you learn from this? What is the lesson learned in terms of systems and structure from what you're seeing on the screen right now? 98 times under someone's leadership, the system collapsed 98 times within 8 years, even though so much resources have been committed. What does that tell you? So type in the chat. or if you prefer to talk, you can raise your hand and I'll recognize you, but type in the chat. What does this tell you about our system? What is the insight you're getting about why our power system in Nigeria, why electricity never seems to work? What does this, what you're seeing on the slide tell you about that? Okay. Go on, type in the chat. But if you want to talk, you can raise your hand. Okay. Olashedikon says, we don't have a working system. Chidi says, there is no good structure and system to manage and control the sector properly. All right. Improper management. Okay. There's no serious mindedness in resolving it. Okay. If he says no maintenance culture, not proactive about system breakdown. Francis says leadership without will and competence. Okay, Lovett says it implies that throwing money at a problem doesn't just solve the problem. So I want everyone to remark that what Lovett says in the chat, because that is very, very significant. It implies that throwing money at a system doesn't just solve the problem. So many times we throw money at a system problem and then it doesn't solve it. Okay, let's take a couple more. What insight does this tell you about why Nigeria continues to have power problems? This is really brilliant, okay? Very good. Good luck says, not knowing the real issues or not sincere about fixing it. Okay? Everyone says poor work culture and no accountability. Now, I wish I could actually put all those things in the chat. Let me know which. Let's do it. Let's do it. So what I'm going to do now, because we really need to see what you have all answered as to why this is not working. Okay, so these are your insights. And there's a reason that we need to put them together so that we can have them. All right. So Lao Shediko says, we have no working system. Chidi said, there's no good structure. Okay, Iyabo says, improper management. Okay, Daniel says, all right. If he said, no maintenance culture. All right, Francis mentioned leadership without will. Okay, and then Lovett gave us that brilliant insight. Good luck says, not knowing the real issue, or not sincere about fixing it. It's interesting because it's coming from Good Luck, the former president of Nigeria. Is saying that we don't know the real issues. That is very instructive. Okay, I have another answer here, which is corruption. Okay, no strong structure. One more. Okay, all right, good. Now, look at all these things that you responded to here, to this question that we are seeing here, to this situation, okay? These are the insights that you have all put here. So my question is, look at these things that you put here. Look at these things you put here. And I want you to be very honest. Do you identify any of these issues in your business right now, where you work, which of these things you see here do you identify, all right, in your current business, in your current, in your company? Which of these things can you identify with? Please type it in the chat. Which of the ones there do you identify with? In your own business? Okay, and what is that? Is any of these things true in your company? Yes or no? And which one? Okay, maintenance culture. Okay. Okay, so let's put it this way. Yeah. So if you identify any of these issues here in your own company, in your own organization, just type yes. Just type yes in the chat. Okay, right. Okay, good. So this sets the stage for our conversation. So it's not just Nigeria. Okay, so it's not just Nigeria. So all the things that we identified here have contributed to why Nigeria never seems to get its power situation right from the early 1970s when NEPA was established. And since the early 1970s when NEPA was established up to today, Nigeria has spent billions and billions and billions of dollars, not naira. And yet, as of today, we do not generate more than 6,000 megawatts. What I have just told you right now is exactly the same reason that our businesses continue to struggle, because we have no working system. Our businesses continue to struggle, you've run a business for 15 years, for 20 years. Some of us have been in business for 25 years, or 10 years, and we are still struggling with performance. That is why we're dealing with systems and structures, because you can see that it is not about not having access to funds, because the number one thing many Nigerian businesses and many Nigerian entrepreneurs complain about is lack of funds. They say we do not have access to funds. And even when some of you, as you were registering for this event, we asked you what would you like to come out of it from. Many of you still said we want funding. So you have seen that the problem, especially if the problem in your business has been prolonged, that it might not be a funding problem, it might be a system or structure problem. So let's move it forward. So that's exactly what we have answered right now. You know, how the lack of a system or lack of systems limit a company's ability to grow. So the first way that it limits your company, why your company is unable to grow, and why my company is unable to grow because of lack of systems, is number one, there is inefficiency. Okay, so you can see that processes are just ad hoc, and everything is just haphazard. So people do things anyhow. All right, so there is inefficiency in your organization. And then inefficiency affects the way that you use resources. So I saw an image a couple of years ago, and some of you may have seen that image of someone who was trying to climb a wall, but he had something like 30 ladders under. And instead of laying the ladder against the wall, he was just piling up the ladder. And so he had 30 ladders piled up at the base of the wall, and he still was not able to reach the wall. And then there was a quote under that image that says, if you do not know how to use your resources, it will never be enough. And that is one of the stories of inefficiency in our systems. Okay. The other thing lack of systems does in our companies is inconsistency. So you run, let's say a restaurant chain. When we go to your restaurant in Onitsha, the onugbu soup tastes incredibly, wonderfully well. So I take the onugbu soup in your Onitsha branch. Then I come to Lagos and I taste that same onugbu soup and I hate it because it's just nothing near the onugbu soup I had tasted in your previous branch. Okay. I go to Abuja, it's completely different. So there is inconsistency. Your processes are not standardized and it's a big problem. Of course, when you don't have a system or systems in place, there's going to be a lot of poor performance in the business. There's going to be a lot of poor performance. You know, you're going to have missed targets. You're going to have low productivity, and it's ultimately going to affect your profitability. And then when you don't have systems, there is human error. There is human error. Okay, I don't know for many of us who fly a lot, whether you've actually had some time to look into the airline, the pilot's cockpit, right? So I've done that a couple of times. And when you go there, that place is just a matrix of many buttons, many indicator lights, and all kinds of things to pull. And then, you know, just imagine that, like the last time I flew to the US, and I went through Doha, and so it was a 15-hour flight from Doha to Washington, Jules. 15 hours, more than 15 hours in the air. Now you can imagine. I think we had two pilots. They used to have two pilots, so you can imagine a 15-hour flight. If a human being, you know, has to do that, you know, just fly the jet, manage all those buttons and all those controls and everything that the airplane has to do up there manually, there's going to be a lot of human error. Therefore, the aircraft has so many systems, automated systems that control the hydraulics, that control the yaw, that control everything about the airplane, the visibility, the landing, and all that. So same thing in our business. If we leave everything for without systems, and then people have to repeat this task all the time, there'll be human error in your business, because sometimes you're going to be tired, sometimes you're going to be emotionally high, sometimes you're going to be emotionally low, and it will affect your performance. Systems take care of that. All right. Then the other thing it does to your business when you don't have a system and structures in place is the business becomes very difficult to scale. So sometimes I ask a client, you know, when I go for leadership retreat, I say, okay, you are doing X amount of business right now. Suppose something happens and you get 50X or 100X the business you do right now. Can you achieve it? And then the same thing I'm asking all of you here. If you get a demand, if you get an LPO, if you get a demand, you know, maybe you do ginger, you do whatever, you know, whatever you do, you supply, and then you suddenly get Nestle and Cadbury and something demanding that you supply them. Can you do it at this time? And then often they say no. Why can't you do it? Because you don't have the systems and structures to allow you to scale. All right. So it's like using a spoon to go to the ocean. If you go with a spoon, you can only take so much. Using a bucket, you can only take so much. Going with a tanker, you can only take so much. So if what you have is a spoon, it's going to limit your scale. Okay. Now, the other thing is that it increases your vulnerability to risk. When you don't have systems, you don't have internal control, you don't have standard operating procedures, you don't have all those things in your business, then you're going to be vulnerable to fraud, to financial fraud, you know, to errors. to data breaches. You're going to be vulnerable to legal situations, legal risks when you don't have systems. The other one is it's going to be very difficult for you to duplicate your success. So you see that your income, for instance, or your revenues will be one-time events. You can't replicate them. You can't duplicate them because you don't have a system that functions like an ATM, which is also a system that the banks use. You can imagine if the banks have to attend to, especially with the cash crunch that we're having now, if the banks have to give everybody money, all right? So let's say a bank has, I think about 60 million Nigerians are banked, 60 million Nigerians are banked. So we still have more than 100 and something million Nigerians who don't have a bank account. So let's say the 60 to 80 million Nigerians who have a bank account, have to make withdrawals every single week. And then we have how many banks? Maybe not more than 30 banks or something. And then if you put all the branches together, maybe not more than 20 or 30,000 branches together in the country, serving 60 million people. And everybody has to line up to draw money or to deposit money. That would be terrible. So there's going to be a lot of overwhelm. So you have that takes care of that. So systems make it very easy for the business to be managed, and then it reduces staff problems, staff retention problems. Okay, so now this is one of the most important statements. Like, this is a central idea to today's presentation. And this is something you actually want to memorize because it is true, whether it is in business or in life or in relationship, every area that you apply it, or even in your spirituality. Okay? Function follows form. All right, so I need your participation. Type that in the chat. This is the central idea. Type it in the chat. Function follows form. Function follows form. FFF, very easy to remember. So every entrepreneur, every startup, every established business must know this. Function follows form. And then we're going to see the manifestation of this in everything. So now what this means is, whatever form, whatever objective, whatever vision that you are pursuing as an organization, as you soon see, you have to create a form for any particular function. All right. Now, ultimately, we're going to be talking about several different kinds of functions in your business. Each of them must have form for it to function. And then, of course, last time in February, we looked at different skeletal systems. I remember showing you the skeletal system of a cat, the skeletal system of a dog. I remember also showing you the human skeletal system. And you can find that all those forms were different. The form of a cat, very different from the form of a goat, from a sheep, because they have different functions. And then when you take their dental formations, it's from that word form that you get formation, which is also a military term. So it's from the form that you get a formation. The dental formation of a sheep is different from the dental formation of a dog. Why is that? Can you type the reason why that is? Type it in the chat. Why is the dentition of a sheep or of a goat different from the dentition of a dog? Type that in the chat. This is very significant. Anybody? Why is the dentition of a goat different from the dentition of a dog? Okay, because their dentitions, like some of you have put in the chat, because their dentitions have different functions. So you can see that function follows form. The dentition of the sheep or goat is that way because it it conforms to a herbivorous function. Okay, different diet. Okay, a dog is a carnivore, sheep is herbivore. Therefore, their dentition follows the function. So always know that, have this in mind. Is it because what you're going to see, as I'm going to be sharing the next couple of slides, is that you have a function, you have a vision, you have a mission as an organization, but you do not have the form. It's very clear in your mind. You have a dream of where you want to take your business in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, but you do not have the form. So that is where the difficulty is coming in your business. You started this business 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You had an idea. Your mind was very clear as to where you want to take this business. Some of you said by the time you're already 10 or 15 years, you want to be in 10 different African countries. But right now, you're still in Ojo-Elegba, that one shop in Ojo-Elegba. Some of you said, by the time I've done this business for 8 years to 10 years, I want to be all over the country. I want to have my offices all across the country. But you are 10 years later, 12 years later, you are still in that one location in Bagada. You are still in that one location in Ibadan. Why? This, what you're seeing here on this slide, explains exactly why. You have a function, you have a dream, but you do not have the function. You've not built the scaffold to manage that dream. Therefore, your dream gets broken. All right, so let's advance that a little bit. What is the difference between structures and systems? What is the difference between structure and systems? Okay, before I actually go there, I would like you to venture your own answers in the chat. So let me pause a little bit and then take your participation. For it's actually better that way. Okay, so go in the chat. And thanks to those who are showing me their videos. It'd be nice to actually see the people that I am speaking with. Okay, and the rain has relaxed a little bit. So I hope I wasn't shouting because I'm going to lower my voice right now. Okay, so type in the chat, what is the difference between system and structure? And then for some of you who are familiar with the McKinsey 7S system or tool that we use in businesses, you know that there's the need to have alignment between systems and structures. So, but what is the difference between, how do you distinguish between systems and structures? Because this is key to our conversation today. Go for it, go for it. I'm looking at the chat. What's the difference between systems and structures? What is a system? What is a structure? Yeah, Moses, I can see what you type. Yeah, the dentition of a goat enables it to chew cud effectively, while that of a dog helps it in feeding and also security. So you can see how function follows form. Okay. So Tony says system runs structure. Okay, structure provides support. Olashibika says, okay, very good. So what's the difference between system and structures? Okay, system is a process of running things while structure is fixed. Okay. Okay, that's nice. What else? What else? Keep going. And then if you prefer to talk, just raise your hand and then we'll unmute you and then you can speak. Structure is the form, system is the function. All right, that's a good one, Oluchi. Okay, so these are all great answers. So let's go to my slide once more and see the relationship between systems and structures in your business. Okay, so you can see the structure is the organization's formal framework. It's your formal framework. It's typically visually represented in organizational chart. Okay, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with organizational chart. So the structure, the visual representation of the structure of your business is your org chart. All right, so, and that's where you define the roles, the responsibilities, the relationships. of the people in the organization. Your business structure defines the reporting lines, okay, the communication flow, the different departments, and then the different levels of management. All right, so you can have the CEO, that's one level. You have another level that could be, there could be, you have managing director, CEO, sometimes people combine that. Then you have another level like general managers. Then you might have another level like senior managers. You have managers, and then you have supervisors, and then you have officers and all that. So that is what a structure is. And I must actually stress that often a business begins to fail or to struggle because the structure is just wrong. The structure from the onset is just wrong. And so it constrains them. Now, so you can imagine using the illustration that we had earlier on about, so you can imagine a goat having the dentition of a dog. In his brain, it's a goat, it's still a goat. So he's going to go to try to eat grass. And what would happen when you are using the dentition of a dog to try to eat grass? So that is what some organizations do. They are in one type of business. They are running a type of business model in IT, for instance, and then they are running a kind of logistics kind of. So they take the IT business model, and then they are using it to run logistics business model, a logistics business structure for an IT business model. So it doesn't quite go. Systems, on the other hand, like some of you noted in the chat, there are processes, a collection, a set of processes, a set of procedures and tools that you use to operate your business. So the systems empower the employees to carry out their duties. So the organizational structure helps everybody in the company to know exactly what their roles and responsibilities are. It will amaze you, and I would like you to try that analysis in your organization, to find a way, maybe during your Monday meeting or something, monthly meeting, to actually find to what degree people in that organization know exactly their roles and their responsibilities. This is a common hidden problem that I find in many businesses, and I work with many businesses. And it's so common. Even businesses should think that everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are. So when they were employed, they were given like a JD, which they came into the company with. But over time, they find themselves doing things completely outside of the JD that they came in with. They are doing other tasks. Sometimes they're even getting tasks, requests from different reporting parts of the business that they were not initially employed to do. So at the end of it, it becomes diffuse. They don't really know what's my role, what's my responsibility in this business. So that's a very good exercise, for your company when you sit down, Monday morning meeting and all that. To what degree do people actually know their roles and responsibilities in the organization? Okay, and then of course, effective set of systems enables employees to carry out these roles and responsibilities very, very well. So now I'm going to connect the form and then the function. There are 3 specific ways that you measure the performance and the value of your business. Every business here. So you look at your market performance, all right, and that's dealing with to what degree, where you are in terms of the share of the market, how much your customer, how much even your market size, okay? So, and the return on investment that you make in terms of your marketing. So there's market performance. And again, market performance in terms of, let's say you're in business that caters for newborn babies or something, you're manufacturing something for newborn babies. So market performance is asking, how is that market for newborn babies, performing? There's operations performance, okay? To what degree do you manage the delivery of services to your customers in such a very effective, efficient, and cost-effective way? Financial performance is just that, to what degree are you making money? To what degree are you using the inputs to convert all the inputs, including the raw materials of the company, including the effort, including the processes in the company? To what degree are you converting those things, to financial performance, success, including all those financial ratios that you need to track. Now, so this is the connection. Business performance is a structure. The difference between a 100,000 naira or $1,000 business, so I just left it that way, those numbers that way, so you can plug your own preferred currency there. So 100,000 a year business, a business that makes 100,000 naira a year in sales, is fundamentally different in its structure from a business that makes 1 million. Is fundamentally different from a business that makes 1 billion, and it is fundamentally different from a business that makes 10 billion and more. The structure is the difference. So these guys, so you are running a ₦1 million business because you have a ₦1 million structure. You are running a ₦1 billion business because you have a ₦1 billion structure. So you need to look at yourself here and then realize that that structure is what is keeping you where you are. And that if you must grow, you must scale your structure. You must scale your current structure. You see, I keep telling you the examples of my former employers, Shell and Chevron. Every time that Shell, in those days, and I suspect they still do the same thing, every time that Shell came up with a new strategic direction, and then they define, usually in those days, 5-year strategic objectives, the very next thing is for them to restructure. The very next thing they do is for them to restructure. When I came to Chevron, and I found it was exactly the same thing. Like when I joined Chevron in March of 2000, I joined, my department was called IT, was information technology. About 2 years into that, Chevron came up with a new strategy. I think about 2 years after I joined, 2 or 3 years, 2 years. Now they restructured. And then what did they do? They took my department. There were other changes in other departments, but they took my IT department and merged it with finance department. And so we were called finance and IT. People were like, what's the relationship? Why do you put finance and, take finance and put in IT? I mean, it didn't make sense to us, but it made sense to the organizational, to the total organizational strategy. So whenever these multinationals decided on a new strategy, they instantly restructured the organization to align with that new strategy. So what I found very interesting is that many of us, smaller businesses, the organizational structure that we started with as a startup, that organizational chart that we started with as a startup is what we're still running to the 15 years after. We're just adding a few more boxes in different to exactly the same structure. And then we are wondering, why we are succeeding. So if you're a ₦1 million business, this, what you're seeing here, this pyramid you're seeing here explains why you are there. So you need to take the issue of structure very, very seriously. And then I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. In other words, you can reverse engineer your scalability, your growth, by saying, all right, I want to become 1 billion naira business. Then you ask yourself, what does a structure of 1 billion naira business look like? Then you create that structure. It's like if you're expecting a rain and a big rain, and to harvest rain like we do in the village where I am. So if you want to harvest a big drum, you buy a drum. If you want to harvest just a little basin, then a little basin. That's exactly what you're seeing here. So you must take structure very, very seriously. So let me give you the case study. And now, okay, so I'm going to attend to this comment, Ola Oshebiko, because that's a very common one. You can't afford the human resources you need, so you make everybody do everything. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. Now, so it was a couple of years ago, I ordered some items from Amazon. And in fact, before the so-called pandemic in 2020, I remember once, I had ordered a couple of things from Amazon. It was like over a weekend, or like a Sunday or Saturday like that. By Thursday, the package arrived in my door in Lagos, in Lagos. And so they kept doing that. So one day I asked the gentleman that dropped it off, the DHL guy that dropped off my package from Amazon, how in the world, this thing is coming from US, a warehouse in the US, and it's getting to me here in 3 days, 4 days. How are people able to pull that off? Of course, in the US right now, it's even more amazing because last time I was in the US, sometime last year or so, is it last year? Yeah. You could order things from Amazon in the morning by 8 a.m. or something, and then it arrives your door by 10 a.m. And especially if you have the Prime membership. So I was interested in how Amazon is able to pull this. Okay, so I have studied Amazon's vision, its mission, and its strategy and goals. It falls outside the scope of what we're doing today. But suffice to say that in their mission statement, when Amazon was starting in 1995, they did not know that they were going to be like this today. Jeff Bezos often tells the story how he asked a couple of friends, to put in $40,000 in that 1995 to Amazon to invest in it. And then many of them refused to, because it wasn't looking like something that what Amazon is today. Some of his friends and some people didn't give him the money. But guess what? All the people that gave him that $40,000 are multi-billionaires today. And many of them still cry. Those who missed it, they still cry today that they didn't do that. So one that point is that when they were writing their mission statement, if you know Amazon statement, they did not know where they are today. There is a massive global company. All right. So at that time, they did not know that they were going to be able to send packages all the way from the United States to Lagos in Nigeria. And today, they send to everywhere. You can literally order things from anywhere in this country. That's incredible. So Amazon had to think in terms of the key resources that they were going to need to do that. And part of the key resources, like in their strategy in the United States, was having warehouses strategically located in different parts of the US. Now, they also decided to have key partners. Co-host, please, can you check where that noise is coming from? If somebody needs to, please mute. So they decided that they need key partners, because there's no way Amazon could have come all the way down here. You order things from there in the US and then they bring it all the way down here. Okay. So they now looked for partners. And I think the name of the partner that they got from, is it Dubai or so, is Amex. It's either Dubai or Saudi Arabia or something. So Amex. Now, that's what that guy was explaining to me. And so this partner had the oversight to supply all the things, all the orders, to fulfill all the orders coming perhaps in the whole of Africa. But I do know about Nigeria, because I was asking him, how is Amazon able to pull this? Amex by itself now decided to have partnerships with local logistics. Okay, local logistics in Lagos. And then those other ones had local partnerships with all these people who ride around and then deliver logistics. So you see how a vision was cascaded all the way from the top, from the corporate top to the customer. All right, how a vision, selection of key resources and partners and all that. So, which is the structure that makes it possible for Amazon to deliver to any part of the world. So just talking about that same thing, we've been talking about that function follows form. If they needed to deliver at any part of in any part of the world, if they needed to deliver in Lagos, all the way from the US, they had to build the form. It's like when you are casting concrete, you're building a house. I'm currently building a house, so it's easy to, figure out. So, and when you are you create the form around the pillars for the concrete, to solidify that. So that's what this people did. There's a reason I like this quote by Malcolm X, a civil rights guy of the 1960s and perhaps 50s. He said, we are not outnumbered, we are out-organized. This is important for you when you're looking at your competition. The reason you are where you are in the market is that competition has out-organized you. Your competition has better structures. Look at the people who are doing the sort of things that you do. People in the same market as you. If you look at what they are doing, your product might even be better, your services might be better, but they out-organized you. Their structures are better. Their fulfillment structures, their delivery structures, their customer service structures, the feedback structures from the market are better than your own. So you're not outnumbered, you're organized. Okay, so now let's begin to put it down to your own business. How do you structure your own business? What are the factors? What are the elements of a business structure? What are the considerations that will help you to structure your business in such a way that you can grow? There are 7 items, all right? There are 7 items that I've crafted, based on my work with businesses that help you to design a very efficient and effective organizational structure. One is that your vision must be very clear. In fact, it starts with your vision for the organization. So someone says, typically people say, we want to be the best such and such and such company in Africa. The moment you state that, you've automatically started determining the kind of structure. You have to think about the kind of structure. Say the moment you mention Africa, then you have to start thinking in terms of a structure that will make that happen in Africa. So it's not just, otherwise it's just a daydream. So if you say in your vision, you want to be known in West African market, for this and that and that and that, you have started defining the structure. The second thing is your mission. Your mission does 3 things. Your mission talks about who you serve as a business. You see, you can't serve everybody. It talks about who you serve. It talks about what you do. And specifically, a differentiating value proposition. And then thirdly, it talks about your impact, the outcome, what happens to the people you serve as a result of what you do. In other words, a transformation you create for the people. So your mission has those 3 elements. Who you serve, what you do, and then the transformation you create, as a result of what you do. The third thing you consider for your organizational structure is your type of business, your business model. A logistics business would have a different structure from a hospital business. An airline business will have a different structure, from a restaurant business. There might be similarities, you see, but your business model determines your structure. And what is your business model? Again, just like your mission, your business model has 3 components. The first one is how you create value. And value is specifically as defined by the customer. Okay, so for instance, Winkle Foam, I'm a customer of Winkle Foam. Winkle Foam is also my client. I don't even know if Winkle Foam is in this this event. Now, what I buy from Winkle Foam is not mattress. So the value they create for me is not mattress. Mattress is a commodity. If it's mattress, I can buy from anybody. You see, but the value you create for your customer must be the commodity plus something else, value add. Okay, like I find that they have this mattress that has 2 sides. On one side is orthopedic, and then the other side is like the normal foam. That's value. So when I lie on the firm one, that firm part, it's very good for my back. So I'm able to get a good sleep. So your business model talks about how you create that. And I deliberately use a Winkle Foam because you're going to see why later. I mean, it's the same thing with every other group. I think I also have a business. I'm a customer here. I must have seen an ebook here of cleaners. So they dry clean my clothes. They give value. So they have a way that they create that value for me. Then secondly, your business model talks about how you deliver that value. Because it's not enough just creating it. If you finish creating that value, whatever it is you're creating, and it's in your garage and nobody knows about it, and it doesn't get to the customers, you don't have a business. And then number 3, how you capture value. How does the customer pay you? How do you capture all this value that you're creating for the customer? Your marketing is you're creating value, your brand awareness campaigns, you're creating value, but how do you capture that value? So now, all these 3 things I've just told you will determine the kind of structure for your business. So you may even be in the same business space. So I may be into dry cleaning business as well, but my structure can be very different from an Ibuku's structure, cleaning structure, even though we're in the same, because of my business model. So he might be going for high-end, high net worth customers like myself, but my own business might be going for, say, the blue-collar workers, mechanics and all these people, who, work in dirty environments, and then they want to clean their whatever. That my model will be very, very different. The 4th thing, like I've already explained with the case of Shell and Chevron, is your strategy. Your strategy has impact on your structure. And the reason many strategies, one of the major reasons that many strategies never get executed is because when people create strategy, they never think in terms of the structure. How do they redesign the organization in order to make it happen? So I have worked with businesses that say, okay, the thrust of their balance scorecard is they want to do a big revenue. So let's say they've been making 5 billion and they want to take that 5 billion to 15 billion. You cannot use the same structure. You cannot use the same structure that got you to 5 billion to take you to 20 billion. So now, what usually happens is with the same structure, the same employees, the same skill set, the same everything, the same organizational structure, they are trying to force the employees, the same people, to go to 15 billion 3 times from 5 billion. And then you start having a lot of burnout, you start having a lot of employee turnover, you start having a lot of tension in the system, because that's what happens. When the structure is wrong, it brings conflict, it brings tension. Yeah, so when you have a new strategy, you've got to look at the structure. The 5th thing is your critical activities. because your critical activities will also determine how you structure your business. So someone had mentioned in the chat that she doesn't have money to get, doesn't have money to get get more resources. Sometimes your critical activities in an organization might not really be more than 5 to 7. But because we've not sat down to actually think, what are the critical activities in this organization? So I always give the example, of one of my previous employers. I don't want to mention which one, but at some point, the medical, the clinic, the medical employees, in that company, started feeling like they want to do their own, we no go grey. They wanted to do, protest because they thought that they were not being paid fairly compared to young engineers, reservoir engineers, petroleum engineers, and all that, who come into the system. And then the doctors are like, look, we schooled, we've been in school for like 21 years or 20 something to become consultants, to become who we are. And then these little boys come, you're paying them better than us. It makes sense. But this is an oil company. This is an oil company. And then the management made it very clear to them, see, this is an exploration and production company. This is energy. Our core activities are exploration, going to get that oil from the ground and producing it. That's our core activities. Therefore, our resources and our priorities they all revolve around the critical activities. And so they said, look, if you feel too badly about it, we'll just outsource you. So, like the Wadi people will say, those doctors, they now maintained. So you have to know what your critical activities are, because there are some things you can outsource if they are not your critical activities. And so there are some things you can outsource, and there are some things you can do by partnership. You don't always have to have, like the kind of work I do, to have people who operate at my level, who could deputize me, because often when my clients want us to do something and it's not scalable, it's also part of like the negative part of what I'm telling you about. Structure keeps you from growing, poor structure. So MTN wants me to come and do some leadership development work for them. And they say, but it must be you. Stanford University wants somebody to, as a business advisor, to work with them like I did. And then they specifically, in the very first paragraph, that contract was with my company, but they said specifically that it must be you, Ogbo Awoke Ogbo, that I'm not going to send another person to go and do those workshops with the companies. So it's not scalable because I'm not yet omnipresent. So I can't be in different places, at the same time. So, but to get people who can operate at my level, who the companies will be very, very confident, to say, all right, yeah, we can have this person. It's difficult for me, to employ people like that, I mean, you can imagine me going to offer Fela Durotoye a job, someone at that level, for instance, or going to offer, them, going to offer them a job and all that. I'll struggle, to pay them. But I can go into a partnership because I know if I'm unable to go for some reason, I can tell the company, okay, if Fela is coming because it's my partner, and then we can have a way to speak to whatever, they can accept him. So, but there are critical activities which you can't outsource. So you have to find what those critical activities are, because it's going to affect the structure. It's going to affect who you are going to have in the system and where you're going to put it in the organogram. Your processes, and of course, your people, okay? So let's move forward a little bit. So these are the things that determine so let me see if I can illustrate a few of these items I put here. So mission defines your strategy, and strategy defines structure. So I've explained that with a story with Shell and Chevron, how every time they create their strategy. They also restructure. That's also when Shell will do what they call selective voluntary severance. So they remove people. They just find a very creative way to remove, because they say, okay, this category of staff or this particular unit or department, we no longer need them for where we are going in the future. And so it was cheaper for Shell to offer them mouth-watering take home, what do they call it again? That they can't say no to. They give them all those things just to pay them off. People in those days, when money was money, people in those days were getting like 100 million, 150, 200 and something million. They just tell them, take that money and go. Of course, plus their pension and things like that. So the people happily go. And then in the long run, it was cheaper for Shell to get rid of the people who are no longer, and skills who are no longer needed in the structure for the future. The same thing, and I think smaller businesses can also learn the things that are disciple. Sometimes you find that there are people in your organization, they are no longer relevant. But see, you're emotional because you think, okay, well, these people have always been with me. They started this thing, we did this thing together, they started, I can't just let them go. Yes, that's not how disciple reason. So if you can't let the person go, find a lot of money, pay the person, set the person up, because some of our businesses are being held down by the dead wood, people we started with who are no longer relevant in the organization. And then sometimes these people become principalities in the organization. So when you bring in younger people, younger employees, they are the ones who sit there and tell you, it's not the way we do it here. And so they kill creativity. They create all this tension and all this conflict because the principalities are there. They are no longer relevant to the future of your organization, but at the same time, they are still there. So many times, strategy demands very, very decisive action, in terms of who might still be there. And then, exit package, Ife, thank you, exit package. Okay. Mastering anything. Now, talking about critical activities. All right, Chet Holmes, who wrote I'm trying to remember the title of the book, where I got this from his book, but that's a very, very powerful book. I'm trying to remember the name, but it says, mastering anything is not about doing 4,000 new things, but doing 12 things 4,000 times. Many of us, we are into too many things. We are small business. And then when I tell some people, they say, okay, but what about Dangote? He's in sugar, he's in refinery, he's in salt. He did not start with all those things. These people start with something, one thing, they master that market, then they find adjacent market, or they transit into another thing. They are not doing all of them, all these things at the same time. Jeff Bezos did not start with everything. He just started with selling books, only books. Today, there's nothing you can find in Amazon. Okay, so don't look at 4,000. So I'm talking about the critical activities, number 5. So that's what this one is referring to. So don't do 4,000 things, but do 12 things, 5 things, 7 things, 4,000 times. Okay. Now the same thing happened. When Steve Jobs came, before he returned to Apple in 1997, Apple had 350 products. When this guy came back, he reduced everything to just 10 products. And then Apple has never looked down. In fact, today, I think they became, correct me somebody if I missed that, I think they became the first in the human history, $1 trillion company because of that. So you can't do everything. You shouldn't do everything. It will mess up your structure. But if you are focused and you know exactly, what you're doing, like what Steve Jobs did, it affects your structure. Yes. Okay. I just have some examples of org charts here because I'm saying that the different business models, have different, so you can see like a digital marketing org chart. It's a marketing head. You can have this, you see these different levels, and then these different roles based on the core activities of the organization. It's also different for a logistics company. See the way, very different structure. So you can't take this and run this, because the business models are different. Also different, from, business to consumer, e-commerce marketing, very, very different. Different roles, different reporting lines, and all that. Okay, so let's talk about systems thinking. But before then, let me pause a little bit before we go into the systems. Let's pause a little bit. And so type in the chat or raise your hands and then speak, just to give me some interesting feedback. What insight stands out for you so far from our conversations? What has been the most striking insight for you? Please type it in the chat. Let's reflect for 2-3 minutes before we go on. Type in the chat, or if you want to raise your hands and speak, please do. What is one insight that stands out for you from what you've done so far? Okay. Okay, good. Vision, strategy, structure, excellent. Yeah. Good. Function follows form, right? Old structure cannot carry new strategy. Absolutely. I just like the way you put your things, Elisha, because just succinct. Yeah, Enibuku says a change in strategy should be accompanied with a change in structure. Okay, business model of business are not the same. Structuring and its relationship with vision. Okay, says function follows form. Systems and structures are not one size fits all. It's unique for every business. Absolutely, very true. Lovett says doing 3 things 4,000 times rather than doing 4,000 things. Yeah, 12 times. Fantastic. Focus on your niche and gain mastery. Ayo says strategy determines structure. Zoma, upscaling your business requires adjusting the business model and structure. Very good. Kingsley, the same thing, the 12 things 4,000 times, right? Okay, Chidi says I must review my company's critical activities. Excellent. Okay, Chinazo. Vivian says they need to create effective structures. All right. Okay, very good. Awesome. Okay, we are where we are in business because we don't have good business systems and structures. Charles says, fantastic. Awesome. Awesome. Good. Yeah, some applause to all of you. Very good. Okay, so let's progress to the next session. This is where we're going to do our breakout session. Systems thinking. The body has different systems, okay? One of which is the digestive.
Sorry, sir, please, can I just have a look at the last slide? Sorry about...
Which one?
The last, this one. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, not to worry. I'll send you the slides as usual, but if you want to.
The slides, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll send you this, not a problem. Okay, so the digestive system has the structure again, okay? It has a structure to support it. It's got the mouth, it's got the pharynx, the esophagus, the stomach, and all that. All these structures, support this. So you can see structure, and you can see how the system follows structure and how structure supports the system, okay? So this is the digestive system. And then in the same way, the organization is before I go to the organization, so there's something that I started doing for myself when I realized how powerful systems are and how it is impossible for me to attain greatness as a human being, as an individual, without what we call life admin. So, and I would like everybody here to think about your personal support systems, your life admin, because if you don't have a system as a human being, as a person that actually supports you, it's going to be difficult for you to run because you're running from a place of entropy. It's going to affect your effectiveness in running your own business. So, over time, I just discovered that because there was a time in my life that I was doing my own laundry. There was a time in my life I was doing my own laundry, but those days are over, except like where I am right now, so I jog every day. So my little sports thing and all that, and then my headband, I don't send it to the laundry every day. So that one I easily do, for myself, my shorts I run with and things like that. But I did life admin, okay? And so you have to think about what's your vision? Where are you going? It's exactly the same thing. Where are you going? Where are you in your life now? How do you use time? Are there things you're doing that you should rather outsource and other people can do, for you? So for me, I created all these systems, all right? My personal growth system, how do I grow? So in my personal growth system, I have tied it together with my morning routines. Every morning, I jog. I have audio books, lots of them. So I made it a system. It's a system. So for years, that's what I do. So many days, I literally am able to do 3 to 4 hours of reading, including audiobooks. And I subscribe to YouTube Premium, which allows me to download, maybe I don't know, maybe it's for everybody, but I think I'm able to download these audio books and play them offline. So when I'm traveling and I'm not in a place where I have access to Wi-Fi or data, that's a personal growth system. I'm constantly thinking, how do I grow today? How do I become better today than I was yesterday? All right, a system to plan. We have a system, at the beginning of every year, at the end of the year, taking stock of what happened in the year, what worked, what didn't work at the beginning of the year, saying, okay, this is how we're going to grow. Spiritually, health, financially, everything, ideation systems, life. So these are different kinds of systems. Family and relationship, parenting system, just make everything a system. Okay, time that I have to spend with my children, one-on-one, it's going to be a system. Wherever our children go, a new place, or wherever they go in the world, it's in our system that we must go there to find out. My wife and I, or either she or me, must go there to know even where our children are physically. We did it in South Africa, we did it in Rwanda, we did it in different parts of the US where they are. We know where they are. So there is system. There is a wealth creation system. So don't just make money, but have a system for wealth creation and for transferring your wealth from generation to generation. Have a system. One little part of my system is just to invest, to buy something, to buy an asset every week, even if it is 5,000 naira. So there's a system, okay, to save whatever comes in, extract a little bit of, even if it's 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. But it says, I'm building this asset, whether it's in the stock market or in real estate or something, it's a system. Okay, so a system in terms of, this is Deming's, William Deming definition. He says that a system is a network of interdependent components that work together to try to accomplish the aim of the system. The aim for any system should be that everybody gains, not one part of a system at the expense of the other. The significance of that is if you look at your digestive system, for instance, they all work together. If any part of this things you're seeing here malfunctions, it affects every other thing. And then every other thing every other component has to to compensate for it. All right. If your mouth isn't working for some reason, the digestive system is going to be affected. If your salivary gland doesn't produce the saliva to mix with the food coming and to get those enzymes to start working on it, it malfunctions. So every system works together. I need to start thinking about it that way. If the small intestine doesn't work, in fact, there's nothing that everything here. Okay, if you eat and then maybe somehow some part of the system malfunctioned, and then you start having constipation, you have constipation, then your rectum is going to cry, is going to suffer terribly. And then if you've ever been constipated, like a really bad one that tore that part of your body, you see that the whole body will feel the pain. So that's same thing with systems. When one part fails, it affects the others, and then they have to overcompensate for that. So Deming sees an organization as a system. Okay, so it starts with getting to know your market, doing some consumer research, then designing and redesigning the product vision. Then it involves also suppliers of material and equipment. So you have all these inputs, A, B, C, D, the inputs from suppliers. So you receive in your company, there's a department, I think it's the procurement, that receive and there's the quality control that tests these materials. So now all those things now go into production. Then you do inspection, quality assurance and things like that, quality control, quality assurance, and then the finished goods move to distributors, and then from the distributors all the way to consumers. Now, if any part of this fails, that's why you need to look at your company as a system. Just like the body is a system of systems. If any part of this fails, then there's going to be a crisis in organization. So you have to, at any point in time, be looking at all these different parts of the system. So think about your company as a system. So anytime you overcompensate in one or you choose to ignore one part, it affects the general health of the organization. So what are the components of a system? So that's the slide that I had sent to you and asked you to look at. This is one of the central slides for today's summit. So the first part of a system, there are 7 components, and the first part is the inputs. All right, that's where you have your raw materials, your customer orders, and this is basically everything that is necessary to trigger the value creation. Okay. Then you have processes, because these inputs go through processes. Manufacturing processes, service delivery processes, and all that, okay? There are marketing processes and all that. So the processes now generate outputs. These outputs will be your products or services. For example, finished goods, reports generated from the system, from a process, could be customer feedback. Now, the fourth part of a system is feedback. Because you must have a way of generating operational results, operational data. Performance metrics, customer satisfaction surveys, product surveys like the ones you have in Amazon and in Google. Then from there, the other component is control. This is how you regulate and manage the system to make sure that every part of it, all these things that we've talked about, all these parts, that they are all working together. So there's got to be for production, for assembly, for inspection, for suppliers, for design, for everything, for distribution, there's got to be a way to monitor how each of those mechanisms is performing. Quality control, performance monitoring, risk management, and all that. Then the environment talks about the extenuating factors of your business, market conditions, regulatory requirements, technology trends that affect your industry. And then you have resources, which include the assets, the people, your human resources, the technology, that the system needs to function. And then now we're talking about the system, we're talking about your organization. Okay, it could be equipment, it could be software, it could be skilled labor. So this is really important. And I hope you've had a chance to look at it before now, because we're shortly going into our breakout rooms and where we can now practice what we've been talking about today. Why do you systemize? This is mostly the inverse of what I have shared with you before as regards the problems that are arising from lack of systems. All right, so you have increased efficiency. Okay, you can actually snap this. You have you have consistency and reliability in the system. Customer is satisfied, employee is satisfied, decisions are better. It becomes scalable. So what you see here is actually ideal. This should be like every company's ideal. This should make you happy.
Sorry, the slide is not what you are explaining, sir.
Did you see this one? The system
yeah, we saw this.
Okay. And
system components.
Are you the only one?
Okay, now it's better.
Oh, okay.
It's okay now. I can see everything.
Okay, good. Was it just her, or did every other person see it when I was explaining it?
I think it was just her. We saw it.
Okay.
I saw it, rather.
Okay. So we're going to go into our break rooms now. So this gives us a chance to practice the things that we've been talking about. So please make sure you participate very, very actively, because this is where we start bringing it down to your business, making it practical, and then rounding off for today. What you're going to do is brainstorm the different systems. Now bring it down to your businesses. So I know that you're going to be about 5 people or so in a room, co-host. There's 70 people, 70, 71 people in the room. So we can have 12. Okay, let's have 10. So if you don't have a chance to do for every business that is there, just come up with a list of ideas. Now that we've talked about systems and structures, you are going to be in the room with people running different kinds of businesses. So I would like you to brainstorm about the different systems and structures from your businesses. Okay, so you brainstorm yours, then talk about it, then come up with a list. What are the systems and structures that you can implement in your business as you're leaving this summit? Okay, so please if you need to take a picture of this, do it, but I think it's very straightforward, because when you go to your rooms, you might not be able to access this. Okay, any question before you go to your breakout rooms? Is this clear to everyone? I take it for a yes. Just put yes in the chat. Okay, very good. Okay, so I've seen yes. Okay. So are we ready with the breakout rooms? 10 of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So please, once you get an invitation, join, just click and join your breakout rooms and then start. Then I would like you to select one person who is going to make the presentation when you come back. And you have, I think 10 minutes is good for this exercise. Okay, you have 10 minutes, especially because you already looked at this. I gave this to you earlier. So you have 10 minutes to brainstorm. Then come up and then let one person present for your group. All right. So can you launch the breakout rooms, please?
I've already launched it.
Okay.
I think some people are already going in.
Okay.
I think everyone is back.
Oh, okay. Okay, so was my video. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Yeah. How was this exercise? Type in the chat. How useful on a scale of 0 to 10 was it? Type in the chat, just give me a number. Type in the chat quickly. How useful was this exercise in your group? Yeah, I'm looking in the chat. Okay, I think it's my internet is slower than, okay, very useful, but the time was too short. Oh, really? Okay. If it's 6, okay, good. Time was short. Okay, we'll say 7. All right, let's see whether the sharing can compensate for, yeah, you didn't finish. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, very good. Okay, so which group wants to go first? And just share with us what list of systems and structures you were able to crack. Which group is ready?
Okay, let me start my own group.
What group was
we
that?
Were 6 in my group.
What group
yeah,
was
Francis.
Okay.
We didn't have a name, but I was there with Mr. Fred, Lua Tosin.
Okay.
Miss Arunke. I think we had, yeah, can't get the others.
Don't worry. Okay, just go ahead. Don't worry. Give us your observation.
But anyway, we listed out a couple of businesses that were into IT, school, law firm, manufacturing, and pharmacy. And we wanted to start, we started with the pharmacy.
Okay.
Trying to build a business model for it, given the structure. Now, following your guide, we started with a vision. The pharmacy presently has 4 retail outlets, and the vision is to be the best in Africa, providing affordable pharmaceutical products. So we picked up this as our mission. Whenever you think of a pharmaceutical retail outlet, will be the first choice. So the business type is pharmacy, and we're in Lagos thinking of building an outlet that will first have a spread nationwide, then leave the shores of the country.
All right. So what systems
about
what systems and structures did you identify that this business will?
Yes, first is to get an outlet to have offices in 4 locations that presently have. That we're trying to structure out how to manage each of them that will be replicated when the time went off.
Mhm.
So we had not really done much, but
Okay. All right.
yes, we're still in the formative stage.
Okay, what other group?
Let me come in and say 1 or 2 things about what we did in.
Mhm.
We didn't come to the conclusion of who we talk, so you may want to something after I might have spoken. My name is Ola Oshibikon. Okay. We realized that all of us in the room, we kind of, 2 of us run product, while somebody that was able to talk us is into services. It's that the kind of organization that we all can have can, because is the implementation that maybe, because when you are talking about the organizational, you are looking at what every member of the of doing, what the employees should be doing, of your from the front office to the office to everything, and this is with businesses. From, even if you don't have a front office, from the first contact to the production to whoever you are meeting, what the SOP, what you need to do. And we all shared that, well, somebody has a structure that has put all our things like in this in a very compact area, so that our stuff can get to for delivery, from production to delivery, so that the timing can be shortened, kind of. Then I spoke to them about my production. Well, the structure is there from the front office to the inner office to the back office. The SOP is there, how we greet, how we talk, how we want to deal with staff, and what we tell them, what their job is, when they are being employed, what they should expect and stuff like that. But then there are certain things that we would have wanted to be done, because we are running local businesses, but we want it to be in a global way. So we call it glocal, kind of. It's what we invented ourselves, that the businesses are glocal. They are global, they have global outlook, but they are here. And like I jokingly said in the chat room the other time, it's actually the truth, because we also understand it that we won't be able to probably afford the kind of brains that will do what we want them to do. We outsource. And some of the board members also help in fixing certain things, because I mean, they are like at par or even higher than the MD, and they can as well handle such things for us, you know, like the legal, like the finances and stuff. So that was where we were. The service person also talked about having partners, that he too run his best by having partners, so that the structure is not just like, oh, we must do everything by ourselves. We outsource. That was where we were before we were called into the main room.
Thank you. Let me interrupt us a little bit. Yeah, we were doing a lot of maybe in-depth thinking and overthinking. But let me give you some examples of what I was expecting that some of you would do. For instance, this would be a retail pharmacy example. It's interesting that some of the first group that presented talked about a pharmacy business. So without complicating it, this is what I would like each of us, even when you go back, to think through in our business, what systems you need to have. I probably complicated it by us talking about structures and systems, but maybe the exercise would have been more like one, but I was looking at our time. So they should actually be separate, what structure and then what systems. So in terms of systems for a retail pharmacy, these are some of the systems that a retail pharmacy, could have in order to facilitate everything that we've been talking about, the kind of results we've been referring to. So there's a CRM, managing customer loyalty. There's a kind of prescription management system. I don't know whether that works in Nigeria. Given that in the conversation I had with a pharmacy leader some couple of days ago, he said in the US, prescription is 95%, and then OTC is like 5%. And then obviously, given that in their own country, much of the pharmacy is paid for by insurance. But here in Nigeria, I said it's the other way around. Prescription is like 5%. And then the other OTC or kind of, it's 95%. So, but I think a very important system is a point of sale system. I've worked with a couple of retail pharmacies and retail businesses, and the point of sale is a critical system in a retail pharmacy because there's so much data you can gather from that place. There's employee management system, online store and delivery system, because some people, it's becoming very important right now. Some people might not want to come to the pharmacy, and so you want a system for that. You have analytics and reporting system that helps you to analyze your business and then to make data-driven decisions. Then there's inventory management system, probably the most important, because you never want to measure the worst thing that could happen. A retail business is that people come to ask for particular drugs and it's unavailable. It's not available today, it's not available tomorrow, it's not available the next time. So by the time people come and then it's unavailable 3 times, they look elsewhere. Okay, so these are the sort of things that I would like you to think through in your specific business. I know we don't have much time to go in depth because the subject of systems and structures is a very deep one. So what I'm actually thinking is that in April, we could do a little bit. So I like you between now and then the April dinner summit to implement this. Let's know practically what issues come to you. So don't say that your business is small, therefore you don't want to think about structure and systems before you grow big. Don't say it is small. So even if you're the only person in the business, even if you're just one single employee right now, it's still important to have a structure that ultimately will be filled. So you can have your org chart and the boxes can be empty. So the same thing with you, Olaoshe, because you don't have to wait until you are able to afford those talents before you can create the org chart. So I've been in the companies I work for, those oil giants, the organizational chart was there, but because they couldn't employ at will, because they had to be given, I think it was napkins or something, because the joint venture with the Nigerian government, they couldn't just employ anyhow. So there were times that a space will be there, but it could be open for up to 5 years, but it is there, it's recognized that it's there. And whenever they lift the embargo on employment, they fill it quickly. So think about your own business and then see how you can implement structure and systems based on what we have done today. I'm going to send you these slides so you could use it to guide that. Then next month, we can deepen that or we go into something related to making money, to sales. So if you must work hard at creating systems that secure and sustain your success, okay? And then you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Your goal is your desired outcome. Your system is a collection of daily habits that will get you there. So what are the system gaps in your business? That's what I want you to take away now with all that you have learned today. And then with the conversations I will encourage you to be having with each other in the WhatsApp group after this, I would like you to think about a systems gap in your business right now. And then Williams, we also need to do that, for our own business, lots of systems gap. And then what are the structural gaps in your business? So these are the 2 take-home assignments for everyone. So like I said, even if you're just a one-man business right now, it's still important that you think about systems and then structures. Okay, so let's take questions at this time. And then after that, was there a raised hand just a while ago?
Yes, please.
Okay, Williams, there's a question there. How do I join the WhatsApp group? So please take care of that. Yeah, for those who haven't joined the WhatsApp group.
Shebikon has a hand raised up.
Okay, so let's take that quickly.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for even thinking it through that we may still continue in April. My question is, how about if, can you please come through with us on startups, like structures for startup, not totally, not newbie, somebody who has been in businesses for quite a while, but you want to leave those lines of business. And then you are taking an offshoot of that thing. Like, for instance, if you've been in production for, I've been in production for quite a while, and I want to leave production and then take like a niche market from my production line to put in store. The structures now are they're going to be, the processes, the structures are going to be different because they're not things I've done before. Right now, what we do, we may not be able to afford all the people we need to employ, but the organizational structure, the organogram is there. So even if we are not filling the people, the organogram is there. We know that this is the person that should be doing this. This is the person that should be doing this. So when it's time for those things to be done, if we can't still afford to employ them, we outsource. Those are the kind of outsourcing that we do right now.
So
what I'm thinking of is to just go off production totally. So production can be outsourced to China, to everywhere. But I just want to take a niche market of what I produce and then do that right now. Is there a way you can help to speak to this in one of your, is it breakfast we are having or dinner? We didn't see the food though.
Yeah, very soon we have to, this concept started because during the pandemic we couldn't meet. But at least we could. But I've been getting a lot of requests, for us to actually meet physically and then make it the food. There's something like that coming very soon on the May 6th. We can do that. But to what you are asking, it follows exactly the same concepts that we discussed today. So the first thing, anybody who wants to do who is a startup, or you want to start a new business, perhaps what we can do is go through the business model canvas as part of the content in April. That is always the place to start, because it's actually, when you go through the business model canvas, that's what's going to show you, number one, who are your customers, how many are they, what are you going to be doing for them, and what do you need to be able to do that in terms of the resources, in terms of the partnerships, in terms of the cost drivers, all those things, you see them in a place. And so when you're looking at your business, and then you're looking at the operations, and you're looking at the human resources, and you're looking at the partnerships on one single page, it becomes very easy to create structure, from because remember that your business model and your business type is one of the inputs in creating structure. So the first thing you want to do is use the business model canvas. And if you don't have it, Williams, we can send it in the chat WhatsApp group. Just send them a copy of the business model canvas. So it allows you to think through your business on one page. It's actually more effective and, and then from my own standpoint, more powerful than a business plan. With that, it will become very clear to you, who exactly you are going to be needing, and then how you are going to structure that together. So I hope that helps. Start with the business model canvas. So don't just put it on your head or on paper, but have it in one. So by the time you see all these relationships, the different parts of the business on one page, it will help you to think through the structure. Francis, let's take yours and then we'll round off.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful platform. It's like a big give back to society. Having this kind of a great man give us this leverage. Now, I want to, I don't know how to request for this from you. I wanted to speak about that startup thing because I believe that it's not really trying to source finance as the biggest challenge starting up a business, but the technical know-how. Now, we have challenges when it has to do with innovation. I need help trying to find the best way to finance an innovation. What do I need to study to have that capacity? Like someone that's been very successful in this, Mr. Strive Masiwa. You see an innovation that you put to work, and everybody sees the technology work, but getting it sponsored or funded to a commercial level is almost impossible in Nigeria. So I'm putting up, because not just for my own technological innovations, I see people who have developed technology and tested it, and we see it work. And it's just for them to put it up, on a commercial level and put out the product to society, but you don't get any funding. So I'm trying to get some training in this regard. How do we pull up funding for startups?
Okay, that's not within the scope of today's, but we can keep that in view for one of the dinners, and then we can actually we can look at that. It's not a problem as much as it looks like it is, but this the problem has never been, in fact, in my experience since 2009, working with businesses and teaching in the business schools, people always think that the issue is funding, even if it's for startup, but there's a path. And in summary, it usually revolves around the value proposition. If it's so compelling, and then you've demonstrated some success. Because the problem, why many people in Nigeria are having the difficulty you're talking about, is that they just come with the idea. It's just ideation. And then they start looking for funding. That's the hardest way to attract funding for startup. You really want to demonstrate the first sale and demonstrate the market in a very, very compelling way, because nobody just, whether it's a venture capitalist or whether it's an angel investor or whether it's ordinary person like myself, nobody just has that kind of money to throw away. So you must be very, very, and the fact that you think it is wonderful, it's actually happening in your head, It's called the entrepreneurial bias, because it's your idea, it's in your head. So it's fantastic to you. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's that way too. So the only way to therefore do that is data, hardcore data of, I've done a pilot of this, I sold this, people want it, these are the number of people, and then the sweetest thing that you have a demand, then funding will just come pursuing you. But that's going to be another conversation. We can find time for that. Okafor, Emmanuel. Okay, just quickly.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate this business summit and lecture. Okay, for me, I really want to ask, okay, I'm into a family business. We distribute for Nigerian Brewery and some other companies like Seaway and Kids Pampers. But there's this difficulty we are facing currently. I want to know, is there an app I can use to monitor sales? Actually, the one I got was creating traffic. We find out when customer comes to buy goods, they tend to queue up. So it's really not working like the offline one we are using. So I want to find out if there is an app we can use to monitor sales. And again, for the structure we currently use, we find out that it's still built around the family. What I mean is maybe at the cashier point, I will need maybe my mom or my younger one to stay there. So I don't know, how can we, and it's really giving us a problem because sometimes when we are not available, things don't tend to move well. So I will be requiring an assistant on how to set up a structure and processes that work well, even when you are around. It's actually a problem. And I'm happy for this lecture so that I can see how I can use it to build up. Because I find out that it look as if not really we reaching our limit point. Currently, the location where still we are like the number one in terms of distribution of an Nigerian breed product. But it's difficult for us to like set up branches and so on. And it's just because that structure is not there to monitor things. Like for myself, I always think, okay, maybe when you set up such branches, if not properly managed, funds will be made away with and so on. So I tend to restrict myself in the location where we are in now.
Okay, I think that everything we talked about today actually speaks to what you can do. I would like you to go think through because the business is very vulnerable right now because you don't have systems. It's very vulnerable, and this is part of the reason that a family business struggles to go from one generation, to the next. And once the key actor, something happens to you or to your mother, right now, that thing comes collapsing. So what you have is not really a business. Because if you are not there and then if she's not there, that's the end of it. So you just have income events, as it were, but not a system that can run on its own or with minimal that. So I'd like you to go through these ideas. The recording is also going to be available. Listen to it one more time. And then think in terms of, this question I'm leaving you with. What are the systems gap? Okay, you've already identified one by the first question you asked about app. And the question is not really about an app, because I think I would want to encourage you, first of all, to develop your systems first. Then it is those systems that will determine what app that you're going to use in order to solve. So in other words, I want you to determine what are the critical tasks? What are our processes? How do we make sales? How do we account for, how do we manage our finances? Because if I also dig a little deep into your organization, I can also, just listening to you, the little that you've told me, imagine that financial management is also not systemized, and financial management is a lot. So I don't know how big that business is, but if you're thinking in terms of what we call the enterprise resource planning software or app, there might be many, that you can use to tie all your data together. Not just sales, you have operations, you have marketing, you have your CRM, customer relationship database, you have your employees and all that. So there are systems that tie all that together, but I would like you to first of all clarify that on paper, your business processes, your critical activities, and all that. Then we can now start thinking about what are the kind of information technology programs that you can use to help you to do that, okay? And even though that's not the major focus for today's meeting, but we can continue to chat on the WhatsApp group, okay? All right, so finally,
Okay.
Finally for everyone, we have our annual revenue hackathon that's coming up on the 6th May. So I would like everybody to please take a snapshot of this, or actually Williams, do post this as well on the chat so they can save it instead of just snapping it. Now, the reason that you definitely do not want to miss this, I do this currently just once in a year, even though there is some bit of pressure to do it at least twice in a year. But for now, this is the one that we are sure that we're going to do. Because cash flow is a major hurdle for so many businesses, and because generating cash in this part of the world is extremely challenging for so many businesses, we've created this revenue hackathon. It's a hackathon and it's focused on revenue, of course, with good margin, because if your company is not making money, then that company is dying. And then creating revenue is not by luck. It's a system, and you have to look at the money-making engine of your business. Many businesses are running on very faulty money-making engine, and income in the business is more like luck than on established set of principles. So this is what we do. It takes the whole day. We usually start like 8:30 in the morning with a lot of networking as well. And we begin to look at your sales, your marketing, your revenue generation activity. We look at your financial performance and things like that. And then we hack it. It's really practical. It's not like lectures. It's not even like what I'm doing now. So you literally have a workbook where you look at your market. Many of us don't even know our market size. The last revenue hackathon, we used Winco form as as the case study, looking at your market size. Because if you don't even know how big your market is, how would you find the inspiration to be able to do that? So now I have my friend, Bruno. Some of you who follow me online must have seen that Bruno gave me this haircut recently. He's the banker turned hairstylist, and then he brands. So he says that the one I've been carrying isn't, it doesn't fit my face and things like that. So I'm trying this one for a couple of weeks to see whether this is what I'm going to settle on. But Bruno is one entrepreneur in Nigeria who never complains about making money. And he's been going from better to better to better to better. Done a lot of things I'm proud of, buying a house in Sugarland from just making women's hair, from just making hair. Okay. And then I tried to get Bruno to do the Stanford Seed program a couple of times. Each time I told him to come, he says, oh boy, I'm busy making money. And he wants to make all the money before Nigerians wake up to this sector. So he said he's too busy making money, to go to school, to go to business school. And so one day I was teaching at Lagos Business School, teaching a marketing class. And we were looking at market size. And I did use Bruno's market. And then we looked at the market size for women's hair. Now he does for men, but at that time we did for women's hair. The market size in Nigeria then, when I did that exercise, for women's hair was 2.3 trillion naira. 2.3 trillion naira. And as of that time, which was about perhaps 4 or 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, Bruno was paying in one of his spaces 2.5 million naira per month. I don't know how much it is now. He's in Ikeja Mall. I don't know if any of you knows Bruno's place. So that was then. I don't know how much it pays now. So now I was like, wow, 2.5 million naira a month for that little space. Then he must be making something to keep him there. And so his business is driven by market opportunity. Because if your market opportunity, if you're like a level 10 company, but your market opportunity is 2, you will struggle. But if you're a level 2 skill, talent business, but then you are in a market opportunity where money is literally raining on you, even with little effort, that money comes. So these are the kind of things that we walk through during the Revenue Hackathon, and it's very scientific. And I would definitely encourage everyone here, to be there. And we've made it easy for a number of small businesses, who struggle with doing one-time payment. So you can pay twice. And the good news is for today, if you're going to commit today, just between now and end of tomorrow, Monday, the 27th, if you're going to pay between now and tomorrow for that conference, it's actually 164,000. If you're going to pay now and tomorrow, you will do 131, just for between now and the close of business tomorrow, Monday. You will also get access to our previous recorded Revenue Hackathon, so you can start studying with the material before May 6th. And then I've thrown in one-on-one consulting call with me on any aspect of your business. Some of you were talking about startup, some of you are talking about distribution and things like that. And usually, my consulting call is 375,000 naira an hour. And there are some of you here who are one-on-one coaching with me. You can also confirm this. This is what you're paying for. I do one-on-one coaching for 4 months, 2 calls in a month at 375,000 each. So I'm going to give you one if you take this offer now, and then we can talk about any aspect of your business. And so take a shot of this slide so you can keep oh no, this account number is not correct. But it works the same. So take this, and so between now and Monday, when you do that, Williams will get in touch with you and then fix your consulting call, and then also give you access to a recorded Revenue Hackathon. All right, so I hope this has been very useful evening for you, and that you've picked up ideas that you can apply. And I'll be looking forward to those of you that will have this consulting call in April, and also to our free business dinner again in April. But feel free to chat up, ask questions, and then we'll provide you more resources on the WhatsApp group. Thank you all very, very much. Okay, so if there is any response.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was asking in the chat room, is today's offer also on planning? Is it that we can commit with part of this 131, or we have to pay the 131 right away?
It's actually supposed to be on the full payment. Yeah, but if you have a situation and you want to do like twice, get in touch with Williams, and then we can make that happen. Yeah, because the idea is not necessarily about the money. It's the fact that I want everyone here, to take advantage of that. So contact Williams privately if
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know which number is Williams's number. I saved all the numbers as yours. So sometimes I want to talk to Williams and I'm talking to you.
Okay, William, just please put the Transformation Hacks number for everybody on the chat. Yeah, so any other person who has issue with paying once and then you want to do twice, please contact that number. Is William still here or you bumped out? Okay, the number is 0808 800 1000. Okay, so that's a company. So everybody can save that. Oh, sorry, there's an additional one. There's additional 800 1000. So it's very easy to remember. 0808 800 1000. Yeah, so send a private message if you need some help with payment, because the idea is not just about the money, but we want you to be there. All right. Okay. So thank you, everybody, for.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, who is speaking? Yeah. Who is speaking?
Yeah, this is Lily.
Okay, hi.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm connecting from Canada, so my own is virtual. So I'm asking between now and Monday, how much is virtual?
Sorry, how much is virtual? Oh, okay, virtual. Oh,
yeah.
All right. Okay. Usually the meal in we do this in a co-hotel, and the meal.
Okay.
Yeah, the meal is typically, I don't remember what it was. Yeah, just typically 15 to 20,000. So just remove 15. I think the lunch.
31.
Yeah, Patricia, do you remember what it was? I think it's about.
It's actually about 15.
15? 18. All right. So just take 15 off that, for virtual. Yeah, so that will be 115.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I love you all, and I pray that you all see. My vision is that we build big businesses so that as big businesses, we will have a very strong voice in this continent. This is not about money for me. My life's mission. Some of you may have seen it on my LinkedIn. My life's mission and the mission of my business is to build 1,000 unicorns, starting with my own business, 1,000 unicorns who together we can lead the transformation of Africa, spiritually, economically, politically, culturally. Because you look at this continent, we need a lot of help, and politicians can't do it. So my life's mission, and why I'm doing this, because this is a lot for me, but I'm passionate about it, because as I'm doing this, I do not know, out of these 54 people who are here now, I do not know who might be part of that 1,000 thing. When Christ started his work, the people that he selected didn't look at all like the kind of people, who would change the world. Illiterate fishermen, people who were. So that's why as I look at you, some of you start up, some of you haven't even started a business and all that. I'm not underrating what you can become tomorrow. I'm not underrating what your business can become tomorrow. So that's why I'm doing this with a lot of conviction. I pray about this. I commit a lot to it. And I really want to see us build big businesses. So if out of these 52 people who are here, that sometime in another 5 to 10 years, I get out of the 52 of you, there are 3 of you, or 4 of you, or 5 of you who become big businesses, who become unicorns, then what I'm doing today would have been worth it. So I'm not taking this for granted. Yeah, so I would love to see all of you in the May 6th event. Put it on your calendar. And then if you need any help in structuring your payment, please get in touch with us and make that happen. Williams has put the correct bank account number in the chat. So you can also put it in the WhatsApp, please. And then when you're done with your payment, he says, forward your name, company, and email address after payment. And of course, your phone number, so that he can set up the consulting, so we can have one-on-one on your business, before that time. I'll give you 1 hour of my time. All right. Okay, so thank you all very much. And we're just 4 minutes above our time. I thank you, and I look forward to seeing you the more. And you all have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Once
much,
again.
sir.
God bless you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Thank you. Good night.
Nice.